Buddy, I am here to bring you a response to some of the comments I've been seeing on my video, Top 51 Worst Cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now this video I decided to make because I see a lot of people making the same repeated comments and I have to counter them, and I decided to counter them all right here in this video. So let's go ahead and talk. First of all, the one I've seen multiple people say is that Sheen Spy has an OTK with Jackpot 7. Now, I didn't know about this OTK, nor have I looked into it, probably because it's obscure as hell and probably hard to pull off, similar to the Blaze Phoenix OTK. Now, if you don't know what the Blaze Phoenix OTK is, it's about basically using Fusion Gate, summoning a bunch of Blaze Phoenix bombardment birds, and just blowing the fuck out of your opponent. More or less. But I didn't care about that. I still don't care about this Jackpot 7 Sheen Spy OTK. You know why? Because Sheen Spy has been out for a long time. Like, I'm talking it was either just at the end of the Teledad era or during the Teledad era that Six Samurais were released. And this was one of the very first Sheen support cards for the Six Samurai. Now, considering back then Jackpot 7 was not a card. Jackpot 7 is a relatively new card. So Sheen Spy has been useless for all this time and now has some obscure use. I don't care. It's still a bad card. I want to reiterate something. I seem to be having to repeat myself. I do not care what certain cards can do when you pair them with other certain cards. I've always made this list based upon what the cards can do by themselves. Anyways, that's the Sheen Spy Jetpot 7 argument. Next up to Pyro Clock of Destiny. Now, a lot of people said, but you can use Pyro Clock of Destiny with Final Countdown. And those people are absolutely right. I tested it myself after the fact and decided to see if that was a true thing, and indeed it is. Final Countdown is affected by Pyro Clock of Destiny. It's one of the few cards that Pyro Clock actually helps. Again, judging cards on their own merit, not what they can do with other cards. Now, I know some people could say, but doesn't that negate every archetype in existence? You don't judge archetype cards based on their own merit. That's true. You're absolutely correct. And the one exception I made was Amazon's Chainmaster, which we'll get to. But obviously, archetypes are built to help and support each other. Amazon's Chainmaster is its own exception, and we'll get to that. But obviously, I can't compare archetype cards on their own merit in most cases. The obvious example in my video was Avalon, which was just so situational and bad that I had to include it, because almost no one plays the Noble Knight. But anyways, that's Pyro Clock Destiny. Yes, you can use it with Final Countdown, and you're more than welcome to. Up next is Relay Soul, and I regret putting this one on the list. Relay Soul should not be on this list, and I'm incredibly sorry that it is. Relay Soul actually is a pretty decent card. Not good. It's not a good card. It's decent, okay? You can summon anything from your hand. You take no damage while it's on the field. And yes, if it leaves the field, your opponent wins. But the exception to that rule is if you overlay it as an Xyz material, it doesn't count as leaving the field. Meaning you can use this to make quick overlay units out of your hand units, and it's all really good. Hand units, what the fuck am I saying? No scripting here, guys. So that's Relay Soul. It shouldn't be on the list, and I'm sorry that it is. Next up, we have Appropriate. Some people were mentioning to me that you could use Appropriate with stuff like Dark Bribe in, draw/Mildex, and I'll admit, in that situation, Appropriate can work. I admit I probably was a little bit too biased towards Appropriate, considering of all the bad experiences I've had with the damn card, thanks to people who do not know how to use it correctly. However, Appropriate's pretty high on the list, and I think as a card on its own, it's a bit confusing and is not all that useful. Someone also argued that you could use Match C with it, and yeah, that's kind of cool, but it's, again, a specific circumstance. Also, someone mentioned to me Dark Scorpion Burglars for something, and I don't see why. Okay, just had to get that out there. Someone said Foolish Revival could be useful with cards that inflict piercing damage. While I can see your point, it's very odd. Like, yes, you can use it, I guess, with something like Chaos Max, but why? Why would you? I don't comprehend this. I guess if you really don't want to attack a face down or attack directly, or attack an attack position monster. I think the point was pretty foolish. Oh, that was. I didn't intend for that to be bad. I'm sorry. So, yeah. I think that point's a little bit far fetched, and I don't really think it's a valid one for Foolish Revival. Alright, Amazoness Chainmaster. I know some people are thinking, you just said that archetype cards are built to support each other. Why is this archetype card on here? Amazoness Chainmaster has been out for a long time. It was before archetypes were really too much of a thing. Granted, we did have some early access archetype like E-Heroes, and Amazoness was an early one, indeed. However, this card has not aged well. This card comes from the DM era, back when archetypes weren't really a thing, and every card was just kind of on its own. Yes, they shared a name, but there really wasn't much Amazoness support out at the time, and the card's just bad, okay? Guys, A, it needs to be destroyed by battle. So if it gets spun, bounced, popped, banished, or even anything else, it won't get its effect. You have to summon this card. Hope they kill it by battle. That's not that bad, but then you must pay 1,500 life points for the chance to look at your opponent's hand, and hopefully they have a monster card that's not useless for you to add that to your hand. I know someone's gonna say, if you use something like Mind Crush, where you already know their hand, you will know they have a monster you can take. True, remember what I said. Specific circumstance, okay? That's why Amazon's Chainmaster is on the list. Next up, we have Senri Eye. With the introduction of the Spiral archetype, I kind of agree that Senri Eye isn't too bad, actually, honestly. Same to be said for Ancient Telescope, but I believe Senri Eye personally is superior. Because these Spiral cards kind of rely on knowing what the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck are, or at least what the top card is. This one in particular, the Spiral Super Agent. Now, keep in mind, I don't know anything about the Spiral archetype. I am very unfamiliar with it. I know what none of their cards do, nor how they function. This might be a horrible Spiral card. But this one reads that you can declare a card type, monster, spell, or trap, reveal the top card of your opponent's deck, and if you do, you can special summon this card. You special summon it if it's a card of that type. So it's kind of cool. You know, this card, they kind of need it, so I don't think Spiral, Senri Eye, and Ancient Telescope are that bad. However, it's a similar case with Sheen Spy, how these cards have been out for forever and are just now seeing some sort of relevance. Now, that doesn't mean all cards like that are bad. Take a look at Poisonous Winds that was out for the longest time before people realized they can use that against Magispectors to pretty much shut down the entire deck. I mean, that card was never all that bad on its own. These two were just exceptionally bad. I didn't see the point of them. However, congratulations to whoever pointed out the Spiral archetype to me. It definitely gives these cards some use, and I appreciate you for pointing that out to me. I'm always open to arguments. Always. Now, on a lighter note, someone recommended I put Oguchi on the list, but there are plenty of cards like Rainbow Flower and Queen's Double that all have this little, you can attack your opponent's life points directly with it. And I honestly didn't think they were that bad enough to put on the list. Would you run them? No, of course not, but there are worse cards, and honestly, isn't he adorable? Come on, you know you would love that face. Perfect. Oh, a side note, someone said Amazoness Fighter was worse than Amazoness Chainmaster. I don't see how. Back on topic. Alright, next up is Dark Designator. Now, someone said if you use Mind Crush to pull whatever card you make them add to your hand. Ugh. Fair enough. Again, specific circumstances. I do not care. The card on its own is a piece of shit. Okay? Good. I nailed that part of the coffin in yet. Not being angry about it, it just, I feel like I expressed that in the video a lot and no one seemed to listen to it. Finally is a card that is going to be replacing, what was that card I just took off? I'm sorry, I'm really bad at this. It's Soul something. It's that Soul Trap card. Relay Soul, I'm sorry, I'm bad with names. I forget these cards so easily. Yugioh will be taking Relay Soul's place on the list as somewhere between 10 and 20. Relay Soul requires that its card can attack your opponent's life points directly, but it has 0 attack. And each time it inflicts battle damage to your opponent's life points, increase the attack of this card by 1,000 points during your next standby phase. Okay, keep in mind that dealing 0 damage does not count as dealing battle damage, even though 0 is technically a quantity. But no, so you have to either have some field spell such as the Seal of Orichalcos out where it's going to increase this thing's attack, or have it equipped with something such as like Horn of the Unicorn or United We Stand to this thing first, then attack directly and gain 1,000 attack during your next standby phase. This card's beyond bad, and I feel bad for overlooking it when I made the list. Had I known about Relay Soul's Exceed's use in the beginning, this chart honestly would have been here in its place. Well, that was just a little bit of another video that I had to make in regards to this video. I hope this answered a lot of your complaints, at least the ones that were reasonable. Oh, another thing, someone argued me that I did my math wrong on Big Win. I don't care. I don't care. He's like, it's not 33%, dumbass. It's 25%. I don't care. You think I care what my math was? Point is, it's bad. You saying it's 25% is even worse than what I said. Point is, it's a bad card. Who cares what my math was? I wasn't even thinking. I was just going down the list of cards as I was making the video. So, okay, you called me out for my math. Good for you. I don't care. But yeah, that's the video, guys. I hope this wrapped up some of your questions and concerns about my top 51 worst cards in Yugioh. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye, guys.